You're watching Chewy TV.
Cartoon Network is one of the most recognizable names in all of children's entertainment. During its historic rise throughout the 90s and early 2000s, it produced iconic shows like Dexter's Laboratory, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Samurai Jack, Teen Titans, and many more. However, things started to change in 2006 when the quality of their shows began to plummet to a point that the channel has never fully recovered from. This troubling period has become known as the Dark Age of Cartoon Network. As the golden age of Cartoon Network slowly came to an end in 2006, the network was scrambling to create new shows to replace the shows they had canceled. With the rise of reality television and competition from other children's channels like Nickelodeon and Disney, they set their sights on creating a variety of live-action programming. Cartoon Network's first attempt at live-action programming was the 2006 Cartoon Network original movie Reanimated, which was released on December 8, 2006. The movie is about a 12-year-old boy named Jimmy Roberts who receives a brain transplant after a freak accident at an amusement park. The brain he receives belonged to a well-known cartoonist named Milt Appleday, and following the procedure, Jimmy is able to see Appleday's cartoon characters in real life. The movie was met with mixed reviews from critics and audiences, but surprisingly, the film was followed by a live-action series called Out of Jimmy's Head, which premiered on Cartoon Network on September 14, 2007. The series only ran for one season and eventually ended in May of 2008. I have to say, the premise of both the movie and show really wasn't all that bad, and out of all the concepts for live-action shows that would eventually air on Cartoon Network, they made the most sense considering they actually included cartoon characters. The creators obviously took some inspiration from the 1988 classic Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and it's really just unfortunate that the show and movie were both just lacking in quality. The second live-action show that Cartoon Network introduced was Thumb Wrestling Federation. The show is exactly what you would imagine and featured different thumb wrestler personalities competing against each other each week. The show surprisingly lasted for 4 seasons and aired from November 2008 to February of 2011. I completely forgot this show even existed until I was doing research for this video. When I watched some clips of the show, I was immediately flooded with memories of watching it when I was younger. While it wasn't anything groundbreaking, the show was pretty entertaining and definitely had a low-budget charm to it. On June 17, 2009, Cartoon Network launched a new programming block called CN Reel. The new programming block would feature 5 new live-action shows on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Survive This is a Canadian reality television series that premiered as part of CN Reel on June 17, 2009. In the show, 8 teenagers were taken to a remote forest and tasked with several survival challenges. The show was hosted by survival expert Les Stroud, who is most known for creating the television series Survivor Man. The show stopped airing on Cartoon Network after August 19, 2009, and the final 3 episodes of the season were only available to watch on Cartoon Network's website. Despite not airing on Cartoon Network, the show was renewed for a second season that premiered on April 19, 2010 and ended on July 12th of the same year. During its run, the show was heavily criticized for its similarities to other survival shows like Survivor, and for exploiting the mental health of its participants. Out of all the new shows released for CN Reel, Destroy Build Destroy was the most well received. The show premiered on June 20th, 2009. The premise of the show was simple. 2 teams of teenagers would destroy a random object and build vehicles with the remains to compete in challenges. Whichever team lost the challenges would ultimately have their vehicle destroyed. The show was hosted by musician Andrew WK, who infused the show with his over-the-top personality.
On the next, Destroy! Build! Destroy!
The show ran for 4 seasons and ended in September 2011. Looking back, it's easy to see why Destroy Build Destroy was the most popular of the 5 shows. The show had a fun concept filled with explosions, destruction, and Andrew WK's insane mannerisms. Personally, I watched Destroy, Build, Destroy the most out of all the See and Reel shows. Brain Rush was a live-action game show where contestants attempt to answer trivia questions while on various amusement park rides. Brain Rush was one of the shortest-lived new shows, lasting only one season and abruptly ending in July of 2009. The show was hosted by American actor and comedian Lamorne Morris, who is most well known for his role as Winston Bishop in the sitcom New Girl. It's honestly not that surprising that Brain Rush didn't last long. The concept wasn't intriguing enough to make viewers want to tune in each week. Like many of the other shows introduced during the See and Reel programming block, it was clearly inspired by popular reality shows airing at the time. The show was clearly inspired by shows like Cash Cab, where contestants answer trivia questions while in a taxi to win cash prizes. Because of its very brief time on air, Brain Rush largely faded into obscurity after its cancellation. The Othersiders was a paranormal reality series that premiered in June of 2009. The show followed 5 teenagers interested in the paranormal who visit haunted places in an attempt to find evidence of the paranormal. The show ran for 2 seasons and eventually ended in October of 2009. The Othersiders basically function as ghost hunters for kids. The show shared a nearly identical premise, with the only real difference being the age of the cast. Honestly, I could have seen the show being successful, but unfortunately it just never quite found the right audience. Tied with Brain Rush for the shortest-lived series as part of the See and Reel programming block was the live-action clip series Bobb'e Says. In the show, American actor, rapper, and comedian Bobb'e J. Thompson would visit locations and advise the public on things that they should avoid doing by showing various video clips. The show premiered on August 19, 2009, and abruptly ended on September 23rd of the same year. Unfortunately, most of the episodes of the show have been lost since their original airing. The only episode that has since resurfaced was the pilot episode, where Bobb'e visits Tony Hawk's warehouse. Despite the show's ultimate failure, Bobb'e J. Thompson would go on to appear in movies and TV shows throughout the following decade. However, he is still most well known for his role as Ronnie in the 2008 comedy Role Models. One of the more successful shows that premiered during the See and Reel programming block was the reality series Dude, What Would Happen? The show was hosted by 3 teenagers named Jackson, CJ, and Allie, who would test out crazy experiments and situations. The show premiered on the same day as Bobb'e Says, August 19, 2009. The show ran for 2 seasons and ended on September 21, 2011. The show was clearly inspired by Mythbusters, with the charismatic cast testing out their wild hypotheses each week. Despite receiving negative reviews, the show had a great concept and likable cast, so it's easy to see why it was one of the longer-lasting live-action Cartoon Network shows. Unnatural History was the second live-action scripted series produced by Cartoon Network. The show premiered on June 13, 2010, and followed the adventures of Henry Griffin, a skilled teenager who attempts to adjust to life as a normal high schooler after years of traveling around the world with his anthropologist parents. Unfortunately, despite receiving mostly positive reviews, the show was not renewed for a second season and ended on September 21, 2010. Personally, I remember enjoying Unnatural History and being disappointed after it was announced that it wouldn't be picked up for a second season. The show had a solid cast and was inspired by popular adventure properties like Indiana Jones and National Treasure. Hole in the Wall was an American game show that originally aired on the Fox television network from 2008 to 2009. The show was dropped by Fox in May of 2009 and was later picked up by Cartoon Network on July 20th, 2010. After being picked up by Cartoon Network, the show was updated for a younger audience. In the show, 2 teams would compete in progressively difficult challenges where they attempt to fit through cutout shapes in a wall that moves across a stage. The show ran on Cartoon Network for 3 seasons and eventually ended on January 16, 2012. The original Hole in the Wall show on Fox was actually an adaptation of Nokabi, a segment within the popular Japanese variety show The Tunnel's Thanks to Everyone. Hole in the Wall was another show that I remember watching fairly frequently when I was younger. Looking back, I'm surprised by how successful it was at the time, considering its similarity to more popular shows like Wipeout and American Ninja Warrior. Power Prep was a live-action scripted science fiction series that premiered on Cartoon Network on October 12, 2010. The series takes place at Tower Prep, a remote boarding school for teenagers with supernatural abilities. The series followed a group of teenagers who try to uncover the secrets of Tower Prep in the hopes of escaping the facility. The series only ran for one season and ended on December 28, 2010. Speculation about the cancellation of the show points to the show maintaining a majority of female viewers. Allegedly, Cartoon Network wanted the show to capture a viewer base of primarily young males so it could capitalize on merchandising opportunities. While I never really got into Tower Prep, I do think the show has an intriguing concept and could have been great in the hands of the right creative team. Around 2010, Cartoon Network slowly began to turn things around with the release of several notable shows, including Adventure Time and Regular Show. While they were beginning to rebuild after the catastrophe of Seeing Real, there were still a few stinkers that slipped through the cracks. Level Up was a Cartoon Network live-action original movie that premiered on November 23, 2011. The movie follows a group of 4 friends who attempt to save the world after monsters from their favorite video game are released. The film received mixed reviews, but was successful enough to launch a spin-off series of the same name. The pilot episode of the Level Up series was released on January 24, 2012. The show featured the same cast and took place after the events of the movie. The show ran for 2 seasons and eventually came to an end on February 19, 2013. Cartoon Network's last attempt at a live-action show was 2013's sketch comedy series, The Incredible Crew. The show was created and produced by actor, rapper, comedian, and 12-time father Nick Cannon. The show only lasted 1 season and ended on April 11, 2013. The show is pretty unremarkable except for its inclusion of Miles Morales himself, Shameik Moore. Cartoon Network's decision to begin producing live-action shows has continued to baffle fans for years. While the channel eventually reverted back to the basics with animated programming, many viewers still remember the dark age of Cartoon Network and the shows it left in its wake. Fortunately, with amazing shows that have come out over the past decade, like Adventure Time, Regular Show, Over the Garden Wall, and Steven Universe, Cartoon Network has reminded viewers what made them a juggernaut in children's entertainment to begin with. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like it and consider subscribing to my channel for more videos coming out soon. Please leave any suggestions for future videos in the comment section down below. See you next time.